Hello again. So what I wanted to talk about today was the getting started part, the choosing a PSA and then starting to find some of that information out about it. So the PSA that I chose is I can't miss work because of the flu. I know this one I relate to very personally because I try to hardly ever take off work. So yeah, even if I don't feel good, I typically am up at work. So I very much relate to this one. Can't miss work because of the flu. You know, one of the first things that you look at, whenever you're looking at the PSA is, what company, what organization is sponsoring this particular PSA. And this one is the CDC. So the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention from the U.S. Department of Health and Services. Once you kind of look at that, you see that it's talking about getting the flu vaccine so that you're protecting yourself, your coworkers, your family, your friends from getting sick with the flu. And even healthy people can get sick, can be serious, so be sure and get the flu vaccine. So that's the information that they're trying to get across, Protect yourself, protect others, get the flu vaccine, that way you don't have to miss work, because sometimes not everybody can afford to do so. So once you've kind of looked at your PSA, you kind of have an idea what you're thinking about with it, what the message is trying to be gotten across, then we need to start looking at the organization that sponsored this particular PSA. And so since this one is the CDC, a good place to go will be to the CDC's website. So CDC, Centers for Disease Control. And again, whenever I do my initial search, if anything pops up with ad, I just skim over it. That's not anything we're going to need. So we'll go to Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And something really good to look at whenever you're beginning to search the organization that sponsored this ad is try to find out more about that organization itself. What does it say about itself? So what does the CDC say for itself that is about itself? Most of the time, whenever you want to find information about that particular company, you have to scroll all the way to the bottom of the page. Looks like this one is really good. You don't have to scroll all the way to the bottom. It already gives you about the CDC. It gives you the CDC organization. It gives you the mission, the roles, the pledge. It gives you its budget and funding, so you know where the money is coming from. So we can go ahead and start with the about. That way you can kind of see what do they say about themselves? What did they say their mission is? Their ability to get information across, what their goal as an organization is. So you see it does give you a lot of information. It gives you some of the staff. A great way to kind of make it a little bit more people friendly. So one of the things I want to look for is the mission and the vision. Just so you kind of get a better idea of what that company is about, what their purpose is, what drives them as an organization, because that is going to affect, the PSA that they put out. Does that follow what they say they are about? Does that follow their mission and their vision? Looking at the about page is a really good place to get started. And so just kind of looking at what does their mission say about them? It's working to protect the health, the safety, and security threats in terms of diseases, so the flu, and different things like that. So they put in a lot of really good information, it looks like. And another really good thing to look at as you're going through, check whether the organization is a good one, is look at the at the website kind of in its entirety. If you're going to evaluate a website, you need to look at what type of website it is, like a .gov, a government website. That's pretty much guaranteed to give you very factual information because that is a government organization. And so they put out facts. Looking at .org, those are more just organizational websites. Looking at .com websites can be a little more tricky just because sometimes those, if you're just looking at the website, doesn't always match. Always be careful about the .com or sometimes the .net ones. Those can be a little bit more picky. And .edu for educational websites are also really good. Educational types of resources. And so as you can see, this one's a .gov. So I would evaluate this one as a really good website. It gives you a lot of facts. And again, as you can see, there's just a lot more information that you can pull up about this company, this organization. You can pull up a lot of details. I would say this would be a good one. In our next video, we're going to start talking a little bit more about evaluating and lateral reading. Tune in to the next video, to learn about lateral reading and evaluating information. Bye!